Hey, everybody. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. We're going to get this holiday edition started here in just a couple of minutes. We've got a lot of people signed up for today's webinar, and so we're going to give them a few minutes to arrive. And while we're waiting, has anybody already had their holiday party for the office? Any excitement from the holiday party? What's the tower where Die Hard was? Yakatomi Tower or something? That was quite a party.
We had ours.
You had yours, Jennifer?
Uh-huh.
How was
It was
it?
fun.
Did anything exciting happen?
No, we were all pretty mellow this year.
Michael didn't get into the eggnog too much?
No, but me and Junior did like a little song and dance thing. It was funny.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Marty says it's a party every day at his office.
Right?
That's funny. Yeah, it's kind of like here. Same deal. Party every day. Party every day. We got a few more people coming in. I'm excited about today's event. It's the end of the year, right? And so there's a couple different ways of looking at that. You know, the end of the year is always kind of exciting for me for various reasons. And it's also a good way to kind of look back on the year and see how you were doing, and a year in review, so to speak. So, all right, I think we've got a pretty good crowd. We can go ahead and get started. This is the Focus Planet December holiday edition, and running today's meeting is a special guest. Let me introduce him. It's Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. I even brought my favorite belt to the meeting. So, also we have Angie Hasenbank with us today too, and so we'll get into this meeting a little bit different. So, for the people that are new here, we've got some new faces in the room, and it's great to meet you, and I appreciate you being here today. A little bit about Focus Planet. My name's Bill Black, otherwise known as Santa Claus in December. And I started Focus Planet back in 2013, just to focus on helping people with ConnectWise, right? So ConnectWise is a beast of a program, and running an MSP is, as everybody knows, it's highly complicated. And so you don't really have time to set up your ConnectWise and configure everything. And so I started Focus Planet just for the sole purpose of helping people set up their ConnectWise. We've evolved over the years. We're doing a lot of work with business operations, helping with sales process, helping with all aspects of running a successful MSP. One of the big things that we do like to do is we have these ConnectWise whiteboard workshops, and I talk about them all the time because they're so exciting for me. The whiteboard workshop just will come to your office. We don't schedule whiteboard workshops in December, incidentally, because I am actually Santa Claus for a lot of businesses and families in the area, so I don't travel in December. But we do the whiteboard workshops, and the whiteboard workshop is designed to help your team understand just how ConnectWise is designed to operate, what's the flow, and their impact on their part of ConnectWise as it relates to the rest of the company. And it's a very effective way for everybody to see how ConnectWise works, and it helps bring structure to your business where you feel like you may not have structure. So everything from acquiring new clients to collecting the money, is covered in the workshop. So if you are interested in a workshop, reach out and we'll get you scheduled for next year. So that's a little bit about us. Another thing about Forward Focus, these meetings, these are webinars we have once a month. We usually try to have them the first Wednesday of the month, but there seems to be conflicts with scheduling here and there. And so sometimes we have them on the second Wednesday. So bear with us as we work through the scheduling of the Forward Focus meetings. It was originally designed to be a support group of fellow MSPs that use ConnectWise. And over time, we've increased our membership to people that use ConnectWise, people that use some of the other ones that I won't mention, but it's more of like a business gathering where we get together and talk about things focused around the ConnectWise ecosystem. So as kind of an icebreaker, I know you guys, you're like, oh my gosh, another webinar. I do have a little bit of an icebreaker for us. So if you'd like to play the game, you have to turn your cameras on. That's the big thing. This is a participation kind of game where we need to have cameras on. We need to be able to see your hands. Show me your hands. All right. So who's going to play? We got John's going to play. Jennifer's going to play. Tony's good to see you. Some of you may have played last year. It's the same game. It's a lot of fun. So here we go. And let me see here. If I can see the way this is laid out, it's kind of hard for me to see everybody's faces. So bear with me. Another thing, Angie and I were talking about this before the meeting started. Another thing is that these are the Santa Claus classes and they work great for kids. But I found that over the years, they're a little bit, the prescription is a little bit outdated. So the words and faces are kind of fuzzy, but we're going to get as far as we can get before I have to change them out. All right, hold your hands up. I'm going to ask these questions. If a question applies to you, put one finger down, okay? And then at the end of the game, there's 12 questions total. At the end of the game, whoever has the most fingers up is the winner. All right, here we go. If you have ever regifted a present, put a finger down. Guilty. If you tidied up your background before this call, put a finger down. I did. I put batteries in my Christmas tree. That's tidying up. If you've ever bought a present last minute, put a finger down. If you haven't wished anybody Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays this year, put a finger down. Okay?
I haven't.
We're doing good. Do you know any naughty Christmas jokes? If you do, put a finger down. Okay. If you've ever peeked at the presents to see what they were before you were opening them. All right. I'm down to one hand. Who else is down to one hand? Oh my gosh, I feel terrible. If you've ever knocked over a Christmas tree. Oh, Tony. All right. If you've ever been late for the Christmas party, the holiday party. Nobody? All right. If you know a naughty holiday jingle. Nobody? If you bought more coal than cupcakes, I'm not really sure where that question is coming from. But yeah, if you ever, I think the idea is you've ever purchased a present just to be snide, to make like a snide, sarcastic comment to somebody. Have you ever pretended to like a gift that you really didn't like? All right, here's the last question. This is the most important question. You don't believe in Santa. Ooh.
That would be naughty.
Looky there. Looky there. All right, I'm out. I can tell that just by looking. Who's got the most fingers up? We've got 6 fingers. John, how many do you have up? Not 6. You're out.
I'm out. I got 5.
I got
You got 5, Jennifer.
Yeah.
What do you have there, Marty? 2 fingers? 3 fingers?
Someone's got 7.
Marty,
I see
you're out.
7.
You got 7, Marty? No, you got 3. Oh, Melissa's got
3.
7 fingers.
I got 3.
Look at this. We've got a winner.
Right
Yep, I
on.
have 7.
Melissa, you're the winner. Congratulations. I'll send you something in the mail.
Oh, awesome.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate that. That's always a lot of fun.
That is
You
fun.
know, see how we are, us crazy humans. So now to the star of our show. I want to introduce Angie Hasenbank. Angie and I go back, I don't know how far, but Angie is one of the, I don't know how to, she's just a great person to know. So I want to introduce her, and Angie, we're going to let you, if you would, for anybody that hasn't met you, could you give kind of like a 30-second version of what you do and why you chose to specialize in MSP finance?
Sure. So Hazen Bank Accounting Services provide small business accounting and fractional CFO services almost exclusively for MSPs. So my background is deeply rooted into the IT industry. I started as an accountant for a company that specialized in AS400s. So that should tell you it's been a minute. When they recognized that shift from AS400 was coming, they transitioned into networking, and I played a role in helping them transition into that. So beyond accounting for them, I did their procurement, their dispatch, and then eventually looked over all of operations and oversaw accounting. So I spent nearly 9 years gaining hands-on experience in both finance and IT operations. When I left there, another technician had launched their own MSP and asked me to manage their accounting part-time. And then after that, kind of word spread and MSPs started reaching out for more fractional support, accounting support. And I've always enjoyed the tech industry. While I was even doing the accounting, I was re-imaging machines at my desk. Whenever it was ready, I'd just swap out some CDs and re-image the machines. And so I love technology. And I actually really love working with the MSP community.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Hey, incidentally, while I'm thinking about it, in the chat, in today's chat, if you could tell us where you sit in the business, right? So if you're an owner, if you're finance, if you're ops, if you're sales, just put it in the chat. Let's get an idea of who all is here. I know a lot of you, so but it's good. Just put it in the chat what you do in the business. There you go. Bookkeeper, accounting, finance. We got all the right people in here. Melanie Pierce, I didn't realize you were here. It's good to see you. Yeah. Okay. Marty. Yeah, Marty does everything. He wears all hats. Accounting. Tina, good to see you. Pete, ops. Yep. Founder takes out the trash. John Griffin. Yep. You do a good job of that. I was at your office. I didn't see any trash laying around. So yeah, good for that. Jeff Jackson, chief cook and bottle washer. Perfect. So yeah, we got a lot of different positions here. John, president, account management, finance. So wearing a lot of hats there as well. Owner, sales. Jody, I figured you were busy. So owner, sales, maintenance, deliveries, crying, yelling, begging. Oh, that's good. I love it. All right. Jennifer. Oh, Brian. Is Brian on the call, Jennifer? There's so many people I don't know.
I am.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
He's
Brian.
there.
Oh, perfect. So,
Not
okay, so it's
participating.
good. It's good to see everybody. Angie, when let's talk a little bit about, get into some details. Out of all the MSPs that you work with, when you kind of look across all of them in general, what do you think the one thing, if you can narrow it down, is there one thing that most leaders, most MSP owners just underestimate completely about their finance?
I think that many MSP owners rely on gut instinct or their bank balance instead of real financial insights, at least at first. I think that that's where it starts at.
Mhm.
I think that that often leads to overhiring, underpricing, maybe some missed growth opportunities. Um, I think that when financial reporting comes clean and accurate, it's kind of eye-opening
Mhm.
what you thought was happening and what actually happened, and they're two different things. And I like having the numbers available so that you can actually see what's happening versus gut instinct. And it's surprising how often it's not exactly spot on what you thought it was.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, in looking at all the, thinking about all the MSPs that you work with, if you think about the ones that you could say, okay, they're really thriving, they're really doing well from a finance perspective, an accounting perspective. Can you identify if they're doing anything any differently behind the scenes?
Um, I would say it's not that thriving MSPs are doing radically different things. Most of them follow still the same best practices like deferred revenue, payroll allocations and accruals, accrual-based accounting, and aligning revenue and COGS through inventory. I think that the real difference is consistency. They've standardized their financial and operational processes and eliminating a lot of one-off exceptions. And I think that discipline can create scalability, predictability, the availability to make better decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So, if we could sit in that MSP's office and just for a week and just watch any specific, I mean, any specific routines, any kind of habits show up, or?
I find that most MSPs that are really successful actively review their financials and their KPIs, and they understand their numbers. And this understanding the numbers could be starting to learn what the numbers mean. I think that you can start anywhere, but they've spent time learning what these differences are. So when something looks off, they can dig deeper to uncover what the root cause is and then take action to fix it.
Gotcha. So if I understand this, if I hear you correctly, it's having a rhythm, having consistency, doing the reconciliations and talking about, keeping people accountable, the accountability loops and quality of data and everything. That's kind of the routine. That's the habit where it's all consistent. That way, if they do see something off, then they can take corrective action right away.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's kind of walk through this. Um, we call this quote to cash. From the time we quote something to when we collect the cash, can you think of any like checkpoints along the way? When I'm doing a whiteboard workshop, I'm always talking about left to right, and I'm always talking about checking for data consistency and accuracy all along the way, everybody that touches it. From your perspective, can you think of any like key checkpoints along the way?
I don't know so much as key checkpoints. Again, I think this still comes back to process standardization and making sure you have accurate reporting. I think service teams have to record time correctly. not just for payroll allocation, but for precise invoicing. I think that standardized processes ensure that invoices go out accurately and on time. And then like using a payment portal will help, and enabling like auto pays help speed up cash collection. And then for those that are missed, having a strong collection process to follow up on the back end. So
Yeah, that
I
makes
think there's
sense.
key pieces, and then there's steps obviously you can check with inside of those.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Steps like time entry, or time entry is accurate, and is everything that's being done in alignment with your agreements, and are you invoicing consistently from a like a cadence perspective, so that everything's top of mind always, and you can always identify when something's wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
When you do see, here's a question about when you do see money slipping through the cracks. Um, can you think of any way that some of your top MSPs design their systems and design their process so money doesn't slip through the cracks?
Sure. So I see a lot of MSPs wasting money in unused subscriptions. So like tools that were purchased but never canceled, multiple licenses for software that only one person is using. So I would say some of my top performing MSPs avoid this by maybe doing an annual review of all their tools and subscriptions, or tracking it in some form or fashion, or even I've seen adopting like a one in and one out policy where if you want a new tool, you have to find one to get rid of.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I need to adopt that policy with all my Chat GPT subscription. Yep, could happen. Well, if you think about it, if you think about it from a service delivery perspective, okay, let's just kind of focus in on that. Little things like incorrect products, or things on products that aren't correct, wrong quantities, text not entering time, which is the worst thing in the world. Project labor not accurate, outdated rates on work roles or agreements, billing that's really not tightly tied to operations. One little side note, by the way, if you can get your text to focus on not only entering time correctly, but also on entering notes that make sense, like really good notes that make sense, which is so difficult to do. You're either on one end of the spectrum or the other. You got texts that make fantastic notes, and then you have texts that really don't put much at all. But here's the thing: I mentioned briefly about the Chat GPT, right? Using AI for service management and to help identify gaps and things like that is so useful. If you can take tech notes and output them and run them through AI, you can see where a client is, maybe you're starting to have problems with a client, you don't realize it, but this would help you identify that. Also, if you have a client that's leaving you for another MSP, you can run good tech notes through, and it'll help you identify what went wrong and what could have been done to stop that. So, a little side note there. But so back to you, Angie. So let's talk about, you've been doing this for quite a while, and you've probably seen this happen a lot, where you've got like a before and after story. Here's what life looked like before Angie, and here's what life looks like now after Angie came in and tightened things up. Anything stand out to you?
So yeah, I've actually seen this same scenario several times. So I've had a new MSP come to us. They only have one income account, no COGS account. So meaning they have no visibility into any margins, not for hardware, not for cloud, not for managed, not for projects. So they didn't even know what their monthly recurring revenue is. So this is very common. So they assumed that they had assumed that their hardware margin was 30%. But when we dug in, it was actually 9%. And it wasn't because they weren't quoting correctly. It was because they weren't invoicing for all their hardware.
Gotcha.
And sometimes, like once we've implemented like payroll allocation and began assigning revenue to COGS to each of the lines of business, we discovered that their projects were running at a loss. And when they analyzed the details, they found that quotes were low and that level 3 techs were doing level 1 tech work, driving up labor costs on projects that were already under bid. So we had several problems happening in one, but we could see that because we were able to see the numbers now.
Right. That makes sense. I just noticed Keith Nelson is in the room and you got your hand up, sir. Did you have a comment, question? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't put it in the comments because I'm driving.
Okay.
And we're probably one of Angie's examples of poorly managed MSPs. I'll take guilty for that. But I'd like to hear about, the balance between doing these reviews and running your business, which is, we're not forte in, and how, it's to us, it's almost better to have someone else just call me up and say, I've reviewed your financials, look at this, than me personally doing it, because I could make more money developing systems or doing other things. So I'd just like to get the feedback on how do you balance that between, really reviewing your financials and outsourcing that to someone more qualified and probably more efficient at doing it.
So we actually do it both ways. We sit down, and if you want us to analyze it, then we will do that. We'll meet with you and tell you what we're seeing, and you can make a determination of, who wants to dig deeper. Sometimes it requires both parties. Like we can go and check farther into the finance and tell you what we're seeing, but it may require you or someone in operations to go dig farther into, like, okay, well, why is labor so high? Oh, because that's a level 3 tech, not a level 1 tech, like I was just explaining. So sometimes it's a combination, and sometimes we just spend time teaching the MSP owners about finance. When this happens, if AR is too high, you're not getting enough cash to make payroll, things like that. We'll go into details and just teach you about finance. So it depends on what the owner wants to see, but we go either way.
So that leads me to a question going back to more towards the beginning here. Keith, this brings this back up. From your side of the table, Angie, this kind of helps explain, the risk of running a business mostly on that gut feel, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, it's good to have a gut feeling, but it's good to back that up with some numbers.
Yeah. And to have those numbers reviewed on a regular basis.
Yep.
So when a leadership team, or whatever, when somebody actually knows their numbers, what do you think? How does that change their decision-making process as compared to someone that makes decisions based on their gut feeling?
So I've seen complete departments shut down because, they tried to work on making it better and the numbers just weren't there, but they didn't know until we were tracking the numbers. But they've shut down complete lines of service, such as, an example would be, and I know not many MSPs are still doing this, but maybe you have a place where you're actually servicing computers internally. People are dropping them off still, and that may not be making any money, but you don't know it until you're checking that little division versus everything else. And I've seen that doesn't make money. That always costs us more. It costs time, costs effort, it's cost frustration in employees, and I'll see them just shut it down because they finally realize that's not beneficial for us.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Seen that happen. So what about, thinking about the MSP processes, is there, we were talking about consistency and reviewing numbers and everything. Like, is there any one specific process that you wish every MSP had or followed that most MSPs don't follow?
I think that varies by MSP. All of them do something a little bit differently or can do, and some track things. There's many KPIs or numbers that you can measure, but I don't know that there's any one thing. I can give you several KPIs that I think are beneficial. I see a hand up in there though.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff, you have a question, sir? It's good to see you.
Hey, how we doing? Can you hear me okay?
Everything's good.
I hear that term a lot. Know your numbers.
Yeah.
What numbers?
Yes.
Could you be a little more specific? Because I think I know mine. It's just sometimes when I say that, they say, oh, no, you don't know your numbers because you're not looking at the right numbers. So what numbers are we looking at?
I think there's several. I think you could look at, monthly reoccurring revenue, how at the rate it grows. You want to look at your EBITDA margin. You could look at tech utilization. You definitely want to look at your product margins, hardware, software, cloud. You could look into tech profitability, customer efficiency, knowing the cost it takes to service a client and are they profitable for you. There's also like customer lifetime value. This is long-term revenue potential for a client.
Yeah.
Gross
That's huge.
profitability, client contribution analysis, again, helping identify the unprofitable clients. And what is your retention rate? And your accounts receivable, obviously, for cash.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks.
Tony. Hey, Tony, you have a question?
Actually, not a question. I was going to sort of sponge on what Angie was saying. When you're looking at numbers, one of the key things that I find throughout the MSPs that I have dealt with is that they don't have a credible budget. And without a budget, you don't have a measuring stick to see how good you are doing throughout the period. Because what you're doing is you're building your budget based on the best information at each level throughout your year that you have upcoming, using historical data to build upon it. And then you want to measure your actuals against it on a timely basis so you can make corrections as quickly as possible without going a long period of time of not being able to do it.
Makes sense.
That's all I've got.
Yeah. Tony and Tina, I appreciate you guys being here today. I know that Chartech Academy is happening right now.
Yes.
And so it's unfortunate that I couldn't be there this time. Too many Santa obligations.
Well, we need a Santa Claus here.
I don't want to let the kids down.
You are missed.
Oh, thank you. So Angie, we were talking about subscriptions and things and tools. From your vantage point, are there any like tools or maybe even just automations that you find that MSPs are leaning on to make their finance process a little more smoother?
Things that I think help save time and make things run smoothly, and also are, because of its automation, helps with scalability, would be using down payment invoices. So you're not trying to move money back and forth from deferred to income, so it happens automatically. Using procurement and the inventory, using inventory to help track that inside of QuickBooks. And I really don't mean that by the true meaning, the true definition of the word inventory. Like I purchase a whole bunch of things and set it on a shelf and sell it out. I'm really wanting to auto align the revenue and COGS
Right.
by using inventory.
Right.
The inventory feature.
Inventory type. Yeah. That
So
makes
I
sense.
think those really help. Other things, just to help things automate, there's payment portals out there now that allow for, they make your deposits for you. And I don't know how many of you are actually still making your deposits, but the payment portals are syncing in and doing the deposits. So I know that sounds funny that I don't want to make those deposits. That's really kind of tedious little work. It's not really accounting. It's just choosing things to line up, but it's a real time saver. So there's little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The payment portals, some of the payment processing that we have available to us right now. I mean, you got some of the top performing MSPs are using these payment portals and using the tools available in them. The one I'm the most familiar with is, we used to use Connect Booster in the past. We just switched to alternative payments. It has so many tools and features in it now that we've never had available to us before. So, there's alternative payment. Well, we did a webinar earlier in the year talking about the payment portals, and you can always go to our YouTube channel and see that webinar. We're posting all our webinars up there right now. So on the collections and cash flow side of things, those payment portals are really important, to help differentiate and make things a little bit smoother from a finance perspective. So let's see, we have, I lost my notes. Here we go. Thanks. I even put my glasses on so I could see.
There's a question from Jody in the chat.
Okay, go ahead, Jody.
I can read it aloud. She says, I don't have a mic I can use, but I think all of this has to start with accepting that things may be bad in some areas and that we may have to make some difficult decisions by our clients, etc. Speaking from current process, the first step for me is recognizing that keeping a client to not lose them while you lose money doesn't make sense. A simple profitability report has proven to be a great starting point for both our MSP business and MFP contracts.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jody. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. I mean, so many times we keep clients just to keep clients and see the revenue side without realizing that we're not making any profit on them. So getting your ConnectWise set up with all the, the correct costs, labor costs and product costs and everything is going to really help with that simple profitability report that's in the finance reports down there. Angie, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not just the money loss. So obviously you're going to have financial loss, but the client could also be really harmful for your team. They could be driving down employee morale, which will cause people to leave, which cause employee turnover, which higher training.
Mm-hmm.
So bad clients have a kind of a snowball effect.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We talk about service and how service relates to finance. A lot of people don't really realize that at certain levels, but service and finance have to work together, even if it's not open and direct in terms of like saying, oh, we need to bill them X or whatever. Some companies don't do that, some do. But in the context of the conversation, do you feel that a lot of MSPs have service and finance actually working together? Actually, before you answer that question, let's take a poll here. If you guys could put it in the chat, and be honest, it's okay. We're all friends here. Do your service teams, your service management, service teams, meet with finance on a regular basis other than just in the lunchroom, just in the chat, just put a yes, a no, or maybe a sort of. Let's see what we got here. No, John Griffin, no. Jody, yes-ish, that's a sort of. Marcy, hey, Marcy, it's good to see you. I didn't realize you were here. Yes. Jeff Jackson, no. Angie, yeah, so a little bit of both, right? And I think it's important this is where, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sell something, but this is the reality. This is where that whiteboard workshop really comes into play, because we have the service team doing their thing over here, and service delivery, project delivery, whatever, doing their thing. They're just taking what sales has sold and making it happen for the clients. And they don't always think about finance and the impact that what they do, you know, the impact of their actions on finance. And so if we can bring everybody together to understand what they're doing in terms of anything from, you know, again, accurate time entries, work roles, work types, you know, agreement alignment, things like that. If you can set your ConnectWise up so that the service team doesn't have to think about which agreements to choose, or if you can set it up so that, you know, their work roles, work types are always correct based on which board they're working on or which ticket they're working on. If we can set all that up, and then if they can communicate with finance, so we have service and finance now communicating together, then everybody's aware of why we need to do certain things on the service ticket that we, you know, wouldn't otherwise think about. So if you think your service and finance live on two different planets, you know, we need to kind of consider a certain, like a simple rhythm, or one meeting, one report, one check-in, something that you could put on the calendar to bring everybody together. Again, I go back to that whiteboard workshop. It is so effective at bringing everybody together to understand and align what they're doing with ConnectWise and how it impacts everybody else in the system. So, Angie, do you have anything on that, or?
So I do it for us with many MSPs, right? So there's some instances where we hardly ever deal with service. The only time we talk to them is when we say, you know, hey, like numbers look wrong. Can you give us some input? Time's going to the wrong place. Something's not accurate on invoicing. And so I'm always reaching out when there's a problem. So it's never trying to be proactive in that sense. But then on the other side, if we're joining like some of the L10 meetings, your leadership meetings, along with your service manager, whoever else is in that, then we're discussing those types of things regularly, proactively, before they're really an issue, or trying to fix them before they are too much of an issue. And then the other part of that is I also have seen a lot of quarterly bonuses, annual bonuses that relate around your tech's time. So if that department is profitable and your tech belongs in that department and they're not filling out their time correctly, they're only hurting themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things about that service and finance partnership basically is, you know, if it's a healthy situation, you've got, you know, everybody's always in alignment. You've got, you know, the service team talks one language and the finance team talks another, and they understand each other, right? The communication's predictable, you know, the whole bit. Trust and time entries. So how many finance people have to sit there and go through each time entry to make sure it's accurate? You know, and if we can get the service team to do that, you know, as they're making those time entries, just to take an extra second to make sure it's accurate, then the finance team doesn't have to, and there's a certain level of trust there. So you think about that. If we think that, you know, when you sit down with Angie, when you sit down with an MSP leadership team and Jeff's question kind of brought this to light a few minutes ago, but we talk about certain KPIs or just certain numbers that everybody looks at. Again, just out of a review, I remember we want to look for the MRR, the revenue there, margins, utilization, anything else that you can think of that we need to look at consistently, just as an example.
I would say that, again, there's so many things that you can look at. And if you're not looking at anything, I would start with gross profitability, monthly recurring revenue, and your product margins.
So just those top three.
I would start with those. I mean, you can
Yeah.
always add. Truthfully, as you start looking at those things, it's kind of that principle of what gets measured gets managed.
Yeah.
And you're going to start fixing these, which are going to lead to other things that you're going to look at. And you're going to have new numbers, new measurables to look at. But I think if you start with these, this is a good starting point.
Yeah, it makes sense. So if you think about it, to look at those numbers, you have to have accurate information in your ConnectWise in order for it to ever get over to to give you good reporting. So from the system side of the house, it's basically just saying, if you look at a report, do you trust in what it's telling you? And if you can look at a report and you say, man, that just doesn't seem like it makes sense.
These travels.
Then if you're thinking it doesn't make sense, then we have to go back and we have to look at how your system's set up, and we have to look at the data. We have to look at the tools and make sure that it supports, accurate dashboards, whatever dashboards you're using. So we have to make sure that it's accurate there. The time to do it, year end or 1st of January, if you're thinking about year end stuff, we're kind of in the thick of it right now. And so it might be a little difficult to go in and start cleaning up, but you can go in and identify what needs to be done and make it a goal for 2026 that we're going to renovate whatever needs to be renovated and clean up the system and get our data accurate, right? So, think of it as like, I'm looking at this report. How do we make this real in our PSA so that it's accurate? If the data, everybody knows garbage in, garbage out. If the data's going in messy, the dashboard's just a lie, a colorful lie. So we got to make sure it's accurate.
Yep. If what's going is not accurate, what your final output, you can't make decisions on inaccurate numbers.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So things to think about as we go into the new year. Just things to think about from an efficiency and structure perspective. Standardize your boards and statuses. No mystery statuses out there. A lot of times we see boards with 50 statuses. Nobody knows what half of them are. No random like holding places where the tickets go to die just because they want to get moved off of a board to meet some KPI. We want to make sure that ticket stays alive, and every ticket, we want it so every ticket tells the same story. If you've heard of snowflake pricing, every snowflake is different, so every price is different. We don't want any of that, right? We want to make sure that our pricing is consistent all the time. That way you have clean agreements all the time. If you can imagine looking at your agreement list and they look nice and clean. I know somebody on the call has a beautiful agreement list right now. No hidden or legacy things of any kind. We want to clean all those out. We want to make sure that agreements are set up and aligned and mapped properly and all that. Another thing you want to do is just go back and revisit your rules, your internal rules for time entry. So important. Every single time entry tells part of your story to your clients and to your business. It's your business journal, so to speak, of what's going on. kind of at the end of the day, it's if you're like a lot of MSPs, you don't want more dashboards. You need to have cleaner imports so that you can look at a handful of dashboards and know exactly what you're seeing. So keep that in mind. As we talk about, AJ, do you have anything to add to that, or?
I am of the keep things simple because they make more sense. It's easier to look at and view. But keeping it simple, I think you can keep it simple as long as you keep your data good. If it's clean, good information, you can make good decisions off of it, even with less dashboards.
Yeah, right. Another thing, end of year. Let's talk about the ConnectWise end of year workflow. So at the end of every year, if you're a Focus Planet Team Focus client, we'll take care of this for you. If you're not, make sure to do your year-end procedures. The time to do those is right now, with the exception of the mileage rate. You want to do that on January 1 if you're changing it. But essentially, you want to start by setting up your time and expense periods for next year. It's real simple. Just go into your setup tables, time period, click the plus sign, and put in 2026 and save it. That's pretty much it. It used to be you had to make some calculations and things like that, but now it's just real simple. Then you do want to update if you're going to be reimbursing for mileage. Go out to the IRS website, see what the mileage reimbursement rate is. I don't know what it is. Angie, do you know, for 2026?
I haven't even looked yet.
Yeah,
I'm still
me neither.
working 2025.
Yeah. So you want to be careful with this one. Don't update this rate until you're ready to start reimbursing that rate, because if somebody puts mileage on between now and the end of the year, they're going to get paid the new rate if you put it in now. So wait till January 1 or December 31st, right before you go to the New Year's Eve party. Put that in. If you're doing expenses in your system and you have a maximum expense type, if you're a maximum expense amount, you want to make sure you get that set. Normally, I don't see that used very much. Another thing that's real important is make sure that if you've made any changes to the member compensation, to your employee compensation, and it affects the member cost, you want to make sure that that member cost is accurate going into the new year. So it's a good time to just review it. Just get in there and review it. If you don't have member cost set up and you have questions about that, there's a lot of detailed information in that member setup. Just reach out to us and we can help you get that done. You want to update your holidays, the holiday setup table. Make sure you got your 2026 holidays in there. Update any company calendars that need to change. Usually I don't see those change very often. Also, incidentally, if you're using calendars specific to any customers, clients, or any members, so sometimes members have their own working hours that align with the other calendars. And so if any of those are going to change, make sure to get those updated. And then for our friends on the sales side of the house, any kind of sales quotas that you have, if you're using sales quotas, or any changes to activity points for sales activities. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, reach out, and I love to talk about that kind of stuff. So let me know. Any questions about the year-end flow or anything that we've talked about today?
I did look up the mileage rate, looks like 70 cents for 2026.
Okay. Perfect.
And then also on your list about the member cost, just a reminder to everyone, member cost is not their hourly rate. It includes the taxes and benefits, everything that is benefit to your employee.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. I think that wraps it up for us. We do have the fan favorite, Spin to Win. We've given away so many prizes this year, and I love to give away prizes. And so, Afton, are we loaded up and ready to see who the big winner is?
We are. I'm going to share my
All
screen
right.
here.
So today we have something everybody's going to enjoy. I know you guys will be so excited. We're going to give away this beautiful Lego 343 piece set of Santa and reindeer. So
All right.
it's going to be a lot of fun. Look at this. See who we have here. That was so close. John, congratulations. I'll reach out to you and get your mailing address, and we'll get this off in the mail to you. It's
Do
going
you
to be
mind?
so much fun.
Do you mind doing
Oh.
a second spin to win for me?
I was getting ready to say, Angie also has something really cool to give away. Her son Gunther made this, and I don't know if you guys can see it.
Ooh, that is
Octopus wine
awesome.
holder. He made it on his 3D printer.
Oh my goodness.
It's so cool. It's I've got one back here. I've got a bottle of bourbon in it, and it works great, you know. So it works. It holds the bottle whether it's
Wine
full or
holder,
empty.
bourbon holder, water bottle holder. It can hold it.
And I got a new bottle of Whiskey Acres rye from a very special friend, and it's going in that holder as soon as the bottle that's in there is empty. So holidays, here we go. Let's see here. Got a winner, got a winner, got a winner. Who's it going to be? Andrew Watson. Congratulations. All right.
Awesome. Andrew, I'll reach out to you to get an address to send it to you.
Perfect. Well, hey, I really appreciate everybody being here today. Angie, thank you so much for being our guest today. Afton, thank you so much for producing this again for us. We're finishing up our second year of this. It's so much fun. And to everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.